Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Ramon Chavez from El Tri Online. You are listening to VS Podcast.
Represento a mi bandera, lo grito por donde quiera. Mexicano 100%, no existe ni una barrera. Mucho menos nos separa una frontera. Con papel o sin papeles, yo vivo a mi manera. No me importa en cualquier país. Si el cielo se pone negro, gris. Escuchando a Gerardo Ortiz, celebrando fiestas patrias con dos Génesis. Cantamos mariachi y en acapela. Miramos a diario con los jefes la pinche novela.
Hola amigos de Pancho Villa's Army, aquí es Zargento with another episode of Villa's Podcast, coming to you from a new platform and a new view. So we're excited, trying something new every single time, adding and building on this amazing podcast. So before we get started, we have a lot to talk about, right? I mean, the Seleccion just went through several matches leading up to hopefully Qatar 2022. Looking pretty good, but I want to hear and want to have a good discussion of where do we feel, as fans right now. At the same time, we're going to invite a frequent offender, one that, again, fan favorite, even though she says she doesn't. I definitely think we all agree, fan favorite. We'll talk about our project in the beginning, just got released, and then from there, we're going to invite our guests. Again, good friend of ours has, partnered with us for several events, is local here to Arizona, so we have that connection, and of course, we'll get to hear his story. But with that, let's go ahead and introduce my co-host today, Gaby.
Hi, everybody. How are you, my friend? Thank you for that warm welcoming, as usual.
You are welcome, and thank you for again accepting. I always last minute.
Thank you for having me again. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
I'm like, Gaby, what are you doing this day at this time? And you're like, I'm good. Like, you are always down. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, so far I've been like, yeah, I can do that. I hope there's not a day where I'm like, oh my God, I cannot make it. But I'm glad to be here.
I know.
I'm glad to help.
You'll be so popular that you're like, okay, I don't know, Z.
Let me check. Let me talk to my manager. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
no, of course not. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to help.
So really quick, we started our other project, Stash and Lash, on Friday. So again, if you haven't seen this Friday project, we did our pilot on Friday, and hey, just check it out. Again, this is all about soccer, La Selección, Pancho Villa's Army, what unites us around soccer, but Stash and Lash is more around what unites us around living across the border from two different parts of the country. So right, where I'm a Mexican in the U.S., Gaby's a Mexican in Mexico. And we just talk about what are similarities and what are some differences and how we see the world from each side of the border. So give it a try, watch it, and you're gonna have a good time. I just think, that's all I can say, right?
For sure, you're gonna have a good time. And thank you so far for all the support. Thank you so much. It's been amazing, and we're really excited, and we are happy to be making this project together. Thank you.
Yes, 100% agree. But you know what? It's enough about us. It's all about our guests. We invite guests. We reach out to folks in the soccer community that are just doing things, that are putting things into action, that have a passion for La Selección, a passion for soccer, and again, have that connection with PVA. And this next guest checks all the boxes. Plus, he's probably one of the younger guests that we've had in a while. We've usually had, some arrugados and viejitos aquí en el podcast. Coronel, is one of them. But let's go ahead and introduce our next guest. Again, you have seen him or heard from him from his own podcast, El Cafecito podcast, which is all about, again, his generation talking about topics that are important to them. Again, he'll talk more about that. Also, he is partnered up and does a lot of things with our great friends from El Tri Online. And would like to talk more about him. But with that, let's go ahead and welcome our guest, Don Ramon. Ramon Chavez, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Ramon. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for you guys make me feel so young. Tell me,
I bet you are.
Yeah,
Dude, you're young. Calmate, man. Look at that. Yeah, you don't even have a single white hair. You don't even.
I got my curtains right behind me, so it's gotta peek over my shoulder a little bit. But thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man. Thank you for joining us, man. And again, I like inviting folks, kind of just saying parameters, and I always wonder, what shirt or jersey are you going to wear? And right off the bat, you definitely, are already earning some points. So this podcast is going to go the 60 minutes. We're not going to cut it short. You have, Manchester United. Imagine you're a big fan, or you're just a Cristiano Ronaldo fan because I know he's back.
So a little bit of both, to be honest. Originally, I mean, growing up, I had no idea about English soccer, especially growing up in Mexico. But once I got to the U.S. And Chicharito made that transfer over there to Manchester, that's when I was like, hey, this is my team, this is my guy. And so it just happened to coincide with, Ronaldo being there as well. So, and everything's working out. He came back, he scored 2 goals today. So, no, everything's really great. So I'm wearing the shirt. Probably gonna rock it later on today too. So
nice. Life is good, man. Life is good. Good. I love that. Of course, I'm representing Raul Jimenez's team, the Wolves. One of my favorite jerseys. I actually wanted the green one. That just was hard to get after a while, man. And I think you have to get it. It's just you have to go on the hunt for it.
That one is super nice.
Like
that one is super nice. Yeah.
Like it.
I know.
And I'm wearing 3. And I'm wearing a 3.
You're wearing a 3, a few generations back, and a really popular one. I like that stone one. So again, always cool to talk about what we're wearing, what we decided to wear. We probably have a nice collection, as we start building our fandom. But you know what? Let's go to your origin story. Ramon, tell us a little bit about where you're from originally, born and raised. Kind of tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah. So my story, you guys probably heard it from other people, kind of similar. I moved here when I was young. I was originally born in Nogales, Sonora, which is 3 hours away from Phoenix. My family's from Sinaloa and Baja California, so that's where I guess my origins come from. But yeah, I grew up there in Nogales. My family is crazy about football and soccer and just watching it and playing, and they were always involved in leagues, and so that's where my passion came from. I moved over here when I was young. Unfortunately, here in the U.S., it was really hard to really just go out on the streets and play like how it is in Mexico, how it was when I was growing up, where you just go to a park or La Esquina and then people are playing and like, hey, can I join? And you just keep playing. But when I came to the U.S., my interest kind of waned down just because, again, the accessibility of playing here. And then got more into basketball and other stuff. But, the older I get, the more I'm like, you know what? Let's just get back into it. And right now is such a crazy time where you can basically watch any soccer game on the planet, before you couldn't do that. So it's awesome that, that I'm able to have all this access to it. And so that basically kind of re-sparked my interest in soccer. And this happened a few years ago. And so I'm head over heels about it right now. I watch the English Premier League, MX, MLS. And I've been watching some African qualifiers because they're on. So it's just it's fun to watch it, man. So it's always a good time.
Wow. That is awesome, man. Yeah. I'm curious to know, again, you were again, first of all, how old were you when you came to the States?
So I was around 10.
Okay. So 10, yeah. So at that point, man, you're in your peak when it comes to playing, and you're very active and wanting to go out. So what made it different? You said from being in Mexico and it was just going out, picking up some games and doing that. Why do you think it was different when you came to the U.S.?
I don't know. Maybe I really couldn't really explain it. But as far as just over there, when you're young, you get out of. First of all, when you're in school at lunch, you're playing soccer. You're playing football.
En el recreo.
In el recreo, exactly. I remember where we used to play. Sometimes someone didn't have a ball or we forgot it, so we would just get a gallon of milk, and then just dump it out, and then that's what we would play with, just the plastic thing around, just because it's fun. And so you put your backpacks and you make the little goals and you just play with your friends and whatever. Once you're done with classes, you go eat, you do your homework, and then you can go hang out. Because where I used to live, it's called El Manantial, so shout out to my neighborhood over there. But they used to have a little soccer field, and so people would just get the ball and play, and then sometimes you get the big kids, so you have to wait till they get off, and then you can play. So it was just so everywhere. There's goals everywhere. You don't really have to book anything here. The lights are on, so you can play at night. So once you get over here to the U.S., though, it's oh, well, you can't use that park because they're playing baseball. The lights are off at 7, so you can't come.
Yeah, I mean, soccer was not that big back then in the U.S., right? What 20 years ago, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
And it was so hard to just find a team or a place to play. And my dad's his favorite sport is basketball. So as soon as he heard that I had some interest, he's like, "Oh, well, let's go play." So he kind of more put me over there, and it kind of helped that the Suns were really good with Steve Nash and all those guys at that time. So my dad was happy about it. But I remember one time I asked my mom, because I don't know if you guys ever watch Univision, the local networks, they would be like, "Hey, there's a soccer team de niños de 11 a 13 si quieren venir a jugar." And then I would tell my mom, like, "Can you take me?" And she's like, "Oh, that's all the way on the west side. We're not going to go over there." So it's just really hard, like just to find a team and a place to play. And, you know, I'm sure my parents just didn't want to drive me everywhere. So it's really different from Mexico.
So the folks that are not from Arizona, you know, Phoenix is big, right? And we call, you know, because Maricopa County is just this huge county of, you know, big, you know, other cities, right? So Phoenix is probably the hub, but then you have like Mesa, Tempe, Chandler, Gilbert, Avondale. I mean, the list goes on. Yeah. But it's quite a distance, you know. Even though some people probably have farther distances between cities, we're all crammed together. I currently live on the east side. And, you know, it gets a whole different world compared to the west side. West side is, I lived there. I grew up there. And it's like little Mexico, right? There's like, I went to Maryville, which Maryville is like primarily, you know, a lot of Mexicanos and you know, other minority groups as well. But, you know, that's like where Mexico's like. You get all the mercados, you get the, you know, the carnicerias. You can find a lot of the stuff from Mexico there. But then I moved to the east side, and it's not that common. And I'm just like, that's my goal. Maybe, Gaby, maybe I'll just open up a carniceria out here and just
that's a good idea.
Carnicerias El Bigote or something. I don't know. But it's hard. I have to drive to Ramon point. Is like, yeah, dude, everything's over there. Now you're seeing more. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, but it's all club ball. It's you have to pay, or it's co-ed, and there's not the level of competition in like the free ones unless you want to pay. So I can totally see that evolution happening, man. So I'm glad I was curious, because I felt the same way when I came to the U.S. long before you. And this is in the 80s and early 90s, and similar thing. My parents, instead of putting me on soccer, they put me in other sports. I played baseball, football, I wrestled, and I'm just like, I enjoyed it, but then I go back, I'm like, dude, why didn't you put me in soccer, man? I love it. I could have been the next freaking, you know, Messi, man. I have his height, you know, so that's all I need. So yeah. No, and Gaby,
it's just tough, you know, and that's what I mean. Like for me, I was just so used to like, hey, you know, it's 6 o'clock, let's go play with my friends. And here in the U.S., you have to make a play date, it has to be coordinated. You can't just go meet somewhere and play. And I mean, like in Mexico, everyone just knew the spot. Like you go to the spot, you bring your cleats, you bring your shoes. Even if you don't have shoes, you just go play. And it's
you just play on the street. I mean, just last night outside my door, there were a bunch of kids playing outside. Like you can play anywhere. Yeah, anywhere.
You get and kids in Mexico don't have no shame, dude. They would literally walk up to your door and knock and be like, "Hey, está Ramon? ¿Quieres jugar?"
Exactly.
And here in the U.S., it's like they're probably texting. Hey, what are you doing? I don't know. You want to get online? Yeah, let's play. You know,
it's different generations, so I'll admit that. So I think it's really hard for me to judge the current kids just because of the climate as well. Pero I miss it, man. I miss just like, you know, you would go eat whatever, your mom's doing whatever. It's like, oh, I regreso. And it's like, be back before the lights go off. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll be back. And you go play. You're all drenched in sweat and stuff, and you go home and you gotta. That's like I miss it, man. It was a good time.
It's a good time, man. Yeah, it's a good time. And now that we getting older here, and our bones aren't doing what they used to. So you know, we still have to stay in shape. So it's good, you know, to still do it as you get older, just to kind of, you know, bond, get together, have fun, and do those things. Because if you don't, your body's gonna remind you, hey, you haven't done this in a while. you gotta ease me into it. No, all right. So a couple more things. You said a lot of good things. This is what I love about, you know, kind of getting to know you. You did mention the Suns, and Gaby's going to hate this because she doesn't know anything about basketball.
I don't know anything about basketball. I thought you were going to say you hate the Suns. No, I actually don't know anything about basketball.
Yeah, so you're going to love the Suns.
You got me there.
We'll talk about today. Yeah, but, you know, again, the Phoenix Suns has a player, you know, in Booker, and he has Mexican origins, right? His mom is Mexican, and I think it's been good for the community, you know, and good for Arizona to have, especially for the younger generation or the current generation, or it doesn't matter what generation, to have that connection. Because there's a lot of fans that are Mexican Americans, but I think it just added another level, more awareness. And what I love about it, and I want to hear your perspective, Ramon, is I love that he's embracing it too, because he even said, "Hey, I grew up was at the Midwest or what have you, and then came to Arizona, and I'm like, hey, this is like I know some of this stuff. Like I remember from my mom, but now it's everywhere, right? So I think he's embraced it. Like he's like all in, dude. What are your thoughts?
No, when I heard that he was like Mexican, I was like, that motherfucker's Mexican? Like, I was just surprised. Like, I just couldn't fathom it. And then turns out that his grandpa or some side of his, mom's side is from Nogales. Yeah. So that's when I was like, yo, like this dude, like I could have like been his cousin or something. Like, so, when I heard that, I was like, man, this is awesome. And I think a couple of years back, PBA did something with the Suns. They had like a whole kind of cheering section. I think it was like a game against the Raptors or the Bucks or whatever. But it was just really great to see that, man. And it was so awesome to see the support from the PBA crew, because it wasn't the sport, that they typically do, but they were out there supporting. And I love the looks that people were giving us, because we were into it, man. It was like a boring second quarter or whatever. But you have like los tambores, everybody's going nuts, like it's like the World Cup final, and you don't see that at the Suns game unless they're like winning or something like that. Yeah, it's crazy how much the atmosphere was. But I love the fact that Devin Booker is embracing his roots. I think he stated that he doesn't know much about it, so he's learning a lot. And so I respect that. It's something like if I found out that I was a certain ethnicity or nationality on whatever my parents' side, I would take some time to look into that too, and so I think it's beautiful that he's embracing it, and because obviously Phoenix is close to Mexico and it has a huge Hispanic and Latinx population, and so I think it just motivates people like us to say, you know what, this guy's busting his butt, for us on the court. I'm gonna do the same, at my job, for my family, whatever. It just kind of gives you that good example, and so I'm rooting for him. It was sad that they couldn't win in the finals, but the whole time I was rooting for him, and I hope nothing but good things happen. And the thing too is that, in the NBA, I don't know if you guys know too much about it, but sometimes the superstars don't stay with their team just because they're not winning. But this guy said, this is my city. And so when he said that, I'm like, man, so Phoenix hasn't won in like 10 years. They've never won a championship. And he said, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to bring something to Phoenix. So like when you hear that from a guy, like that just motivates you. So I love him. Yeah. Wish him the best, and I hope the Suns continue to do good.
That's awesome. So Gaby, again, maybe something to cheer for, right? Booker, Mexicano.
Okay, maybe that's my first clue. Maybe that can be my team, because there's a Mexican guy in there. I don't know.
And he's loyal, and he's hard not to like, dude. I mean, even the whole NBA just can't help but gravitate towards the guy, right? Because
hey, and just on the chisme side of the story, he's dating Kendall Jenner, right? Do you know that? That's some chisme. That's some chisme.
Yeah, so my girlfriend will send me stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't care. I try not to get into that. I'm just like, and I was worried when that first came out. I'm like,
I know who he is, because he's dating a Kardashian.
It was gonna go down, but
yeah. All of our PBA members are like, ¿Qué es esto de la qué? ¿Kendo?
What? I'm sorry, guys, but I know who he is now. I know who he is.
¿Eso no fue el regalo que me diste para leer libros, el Kendo? No. All right. Yeah, let's move past that, because we just lost like 50%, 80% of our audience.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
So let's go into, you did mention, you brought up the PBA. Yeah, it was awesome. Again, shout out to Phoenix PBA. Everybody involved. We have a lot of amazing members. Again, El Coronel is a big part of that, but as well as, our captain, our Captain Fonzo. Then you have just members after members, dude. Everybody gets involved. Everybody puts their, gets that connection. And I don't know how that happened. Maybe we'll get them on and talk about, hey, how did the Phoenix Suns reach out to us, or did we proactively? I want to say the Phoenix Suns reached out. They're probably wanting to build off this momentum. Yeah. So we'll look into that. But it was cool that you were a part of that. Ramon, tell us about your connection with PBA. Was that your connection, or did you know about PBA prior? How did you know about Pancho Villa's Army?
So the first time I ever heard about it was through a mutual friend. His name was Kevin. Kevin Calvo,
Yeah.
and I was I think I was just hiking or something, and then he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, you went to North High School, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's up? Like, did you go there?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so we started talking about soccer and you know what he did at the high school, and he said, "You know what? I rep this crew, the PBA crew, Pancho Army, and he's like, come out, we do watch parties, we do events," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I think this was around like the that Copa America that was here in the U.S. A few years ago, and so he's like, "Hey, you know, we're getting tickets. If you want to purchase some, you know, let me know." And so I did. I remember they had this whole event at Westgate, and they're like, "Come to Stall or whatever the place was called," and it was popping like the tambores, you had the flares, the walk to the stadium. So when I saw it, and everyone's really nice, man. It's like nobody was like, no, everyone's really nice. Like, "Hey, how did you hear about us? You know, what do you need?" I'm so and so. I think that's when I met Coronel. And so yeah, everyone was just really nice, and that's why I embraced it. You know, because how friendly people were, and you know, everybody's like, "Hey, come out to this watch party. Hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do that." So they're just always so active, and I think that's awesome to have. And again, like I made the point earlier that the U.S. is really hard to find places to like either play or talk about soccer or be involved, and these people were just so friendly. And then when I found out it was like a national thing, it was even better, because now you like wherever you go, there's like a chapter, and you know you can have fun, and you know these people are gonna like be receptive and friendly. So that's how I heard about it, and then I just kept bugging Kevin. I was like, "Hey, when's the next thing? Like, let's go, let's have fun." And I think they did a watch party at the wing place on the south side. I forget the name. It was like a Mexico USA game. It was like a qualifier, the last one. And it was so fun.
Native.
Yeah. There you go. And yeah, it was just awesome. The place was packed. We went there for a World Cup game, and so that's what I mean. Like, it's just great people, man. And so wherever you go, you know they're gonna be lit. They're gonna be hyped. Like I was just in Denver a few months ago, and they were there. Con el ambiente. So it's just fun, man. Like I love it. I love, you know, I'm not like an official member, but I love being part of it, and I love, you know, being with everybody, and so that's what I mean. It's just a great place.
As soon as you join us for a party, as soon as you purchase tickets through us, you're a member, dude. That's it. It's not, you know, there's no fee, right? Yeah. You just have to be. So, dude, I mean, you're a member for sure, bro. And if you don't have a scarf or anything, it's all right. You know, just ask for one. We'll give you one. You know, like this we're all about connections. Like Coronel has. I mean, come on, you know Coronel. You invited him to your podcast at one episode. He was. I don't know what he was, just like talking. He nonstop about it. "Oh, dude, I was a part of this, you know, podcast with Ramon, and I love the flow, the format." So he just kept, you know, praising the podcast and you inviting him, and he loved it, what you guys are doing, and that's where he kept using that as a saying, "Hey, we need to do something like that." So I don't know if you knew that, but dude, it was because of your invite with the Coronel. Mm-hmm. That sparked me and him talking about it, and me bringing up we should do a podcast. He's like, "Yeah, dude, I just, you know, don't the Cafecito podcast, they did this." Yeah. So you were really the big factor, or big major factor of us kind of looking at it and thinking about going that route. So there you go, man. Here it is, exclusive. It was a Cafecito podcast that inspired us.
The inspiration.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad, man, and that's what, you know. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but that's what I really wanted to do with El Cafecito. Just, you know, have people, you know, like spark their own ideas and move with it and inspire them, you know, because we're a small podcast, so we're not like worldwide or anything. But as long as like I hear a story like that, man, it just it makes me feel what I'm doing is worthwhile, you know, and so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, and I think you know, Coronel, I know he's gonna be watching this. He can echo this and talk about it. He can even share, because that's definitely what it was. He's just like he just loved how you first of all, how the setup was, the flow, I think the conversation, and he just kept going. I'm like, all right, man, all right. You know what? I was a little jealous. I was like, all right, okay, whatever, okay, I hear you, man. And he just kept going. I'm like, all right, and a Cafecito, I hear you. And then I watched it. I'm like, okay, he's right. This is pretty good. Like, we have a good flow.
Thank you, appreciate it.
But there you go, exclusive there, man. Yeah, it's funny how those things come up. I wasn't even planning on that. And I'm going, oh man, that's right. It was the inspiration of us kind of looking into this, and here we are today. And it just continued to grow, dude. And to your point, and this is why we do this, right? We do this because we have we're not doing it for, we're not making tons of money. We're not, all the fame and glory. We're doing it because we have a passion for it. It's a side project. It's something that we want to do, right?
No, definitely.
So let's go into that then. So now, that's the PVA connection. Tell us about how you started even podcasting, first of all, and how the origins of the Cafecito podcast started, and maybe a little bit more about what it's all about.
Yeah, no, our podcast started as, how every podcast started, where, we're just hanging out talking, and then we think we're so funny and hilarious that we just want to start our own podcast. Honestly, that's how it started. We were just
that's how stand-up comics start too. They think I'm the funniest guy, and then they go on stage and realize, this is harder than I thought.
Yeah, and you're right, because it was hard to. I mean, I don't have a technical background. I've never done audio. I've never done video. Nothing like that. And so we basically just had to start from scratch. So I got my friends to kind of, jump on it. Originally, it was 4 of us. And yeah, we just kind of like practiced and talked. And I was kind of trying to see, like how you're saying, like how the flow's going to go and what are we doing, all that stuff. And it took a long time, man, for us to feel comfortable. First of all, talking in a mic. And then, keeping the conversation going, because you don't realize how long a second is. Until you're in a podcast.
True.
And so it was hard work, man. Yeah, and so no, but like it was fun. Like I think part of the journey is the best part, being part of the journey. And I remember when we started, we didn't have any mics. We didn't even know we needed mics. We just thought we could do it on the phone. We had a Beats headphone, like to use the mic, and so we were just kind of passing it around. Terrible first episode. But eventually, we got the mics. We got a sponsor. So I talked to the owner of Cobra Arcade Bar. I'm not sure if you ever heard of that, here in Phoenix.
Yeah,
and
they're like everywhere too, though, right? They're in other cities, yeah.
Yeah, they're in Tucson, and I think they're continuing to open places. And so I talked to the owner. I pitched my idea to him, and he said, "How much money do you need?" And I gave him the amount, and he wrote the check.
I'm taking notes right now.
Gaby, let's go. Work on your magic.
Yes, I will. I promise.
I'll tell you a little story about that one. It was the first time that I don't know if it was the first time, but the concert before this next one that's coming up of Bad Bunny. So we went to Bad Bunny. Obviously, I was late, getting a little tipsy, So we go to the after party, which is at Stardust, and I see the owner. I'm like, that's the owner. Like, I got to talk to him. I got to talk to him on my podcast. I got to do something. And again, this is the liquid courage talking, So I'm like,
that's the best kind of courage.
Yes.
I'm like, let me talk to you about my podcast, man. And so he's really nice, awesome guy. And shout out to Ariel. And he listened to me, and he's like, you know what? Send me a DM. We'll talk. We'll come down and we really talk about it because it's a busy night. I'm like, okay, cool. Send him a DM. We met like a couple days later, and he's like, I love it. I love the concept. Let me know how much you need. I'll write you the check. Pick it up. You're good. So we're able to get mics and the stands and all that stuff, and it just bumped the quality level of our podcast. Just again, because sometimes the equipment is what you need.
Yeah.
And that's how we really got started. Before we were using like USB mics, we're recording off of one computer. Like it was just crazy how much we were doing, and I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to compress and do all this stuff, and I still don't really know, but I get it done. And I think that's part of the fun too. And then right now our El Cafecito is diving more into video, so we're doing more videos now. But yeah, man, it was just awesome. Just we launched on my birthday, which was April 10th, 2019. And yeah, so we've been doing it for 3 years, and yeah, man, we've done, we're almost to like 70 episodes, something like that. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. But like you're saying, like hearing these things like Coronel saying, it just inspires you to keep going. And that's what I tell my team. I'm like, guys, like people that are listening to us, like care. Like we're just not speaking into the void, because we see the follows, we see the views, the messages we get. It's like, oh man, we missed you guys. Like you guys haven't recorded in a month. Like we missed you, like talking about it. And so we don't do it for the fame, but we do it because, I feel like there's a lot of people like us, and they want to hear our story. And because of the Cafecito, man, nothing but great things have come to my life. Like it's crazy how much people respect what the podcast is. Like it's a little bit of a stereotype where like, oh, you do a podcast too? Oh, okay. Like interesting. And and I'm not interesting. I'm just like you, and I'm just like you and everybody else. But I think what makes us interesting is the fact that we have a friendship and that we really care about our community. We want to see Phoenix grow, and we care, and I think people see that, and so hopefully we can continue to grow. But thanks to El Cafecito, like numerous doors have opened, and I'm nothing but grateful to the people that have supported, like the listeners and again Ariel, the sponsors, everybody that's been supporting, and my girlfriend, she's the one that has to deal with me editing like till 3 a.m, and it's like, do another show. Oh, okay, I thought we were gonna hang out. I'm like, I'm sorry, like. So it's a lot of work, man, but I love it, and I hope I can continue to do it. And like I said, I'm nothing but grateful and thankful for everything that's come from it.
You know what, dude? Thank you again for sharing that story, because honestly, it's one of those things. You said a lot of things that I'm just like, yes, because it's one of those things that everybody has a podcast. It's not like something new anymore, but it's the folks that stick to it, because everybody starts it. But then you see a couple episodes and they disappear because they know how hard work it is, the sacrifice, the consistency. I mean, just trying to get guests is not easy, right? Like reaching out, and people are just busy. And the more it's becoming, people will be like, okay, yeah, but once you have a voice, once you have an audience, once you have a following, it's worth it. And I'm glad I was able to share that story to you, because honestly, I wasn't even planning on it. And then I realized, oh my gosh, like, yes. And that's just another fuel to your fire, right? To go, dude, yeah, we're doing something good. And it's always trial and error, dude. Everybody has crappy episodes at first, and then you get better, right? So, and we learn from each other. So the fact that you're sharing this stuff, like, that's what Gaby was like, I'm taking notes. So basically, Gaby's gonna go get liquid courage and start talking to owners of things and going, hey, we have a podcast.
Stay tuned on Twitter for my drunk tweets. Like, hey, I'm meeting somebody right now. I'm getting a sponsor right now.
I'm live streaming right now. I'm about
yes, exactly.
I mean, that's what I mean. To me, it's funny, but like those are the chances you have to take. Like, I'm not like a guru. I'm not here to tell you. I'm not like a counselor. But I feel like the best decisions I've ever made in my life is when I say, you know what, it's now or never.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, the reason I wanted to do all of this was because before I started the podcast, I won't dive into it, but I was like in a dark period in my life. Things weren't really well. And I just kind of told myself, I'm like, look, man, you just got to do it. You just got to do what you're passionate about. If it doesn't work out, then you at least tried, and you keep that knowledge forever. So like, I'm not afraid of failing. If I fail, that's when you learn.
And you try again.
Yeah,
and you try again.
Well, sometimes you don't look at things that can be improved, and I think that's the thing as humans that I feel like, and I don't want to get too philosophical, but the more you fail, the more you learn, the better you become as a person, and the better you ultimately will be. And so, if you want to do something, just do it. And like and how Z was saying, you gotta stick with it. The most common question that I get about the podcast is, how do I make my own podcast?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll teach you how to do it. Boom, 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 boom. I should be charging for telling you, but I'm gonna do it for free. They do 1 episodes and then they stop forever.
Yeah.
That's it. And they kind of didn't like it, whatever. But the people that do it consistently, like you're saying, those are the ones that are successful. And I think you can apply it to life. The more you focus and the more you invest into it, and the more passion you put into it, the more you're gonna get from it. And so I think that's something to take note.
Yeah. 100%, man. This is great. This is what I love about, first of all, the PVA podcast, is because we're like, hey, there are people out there that have ideas, and it doesn't have to be a podcast. It can be anything. And this is also helping our community, our soccer community, be like, hey, if you have an idea, yes, it's going to suck at first. You're going to make mistakes. It's not going to be pretty. But if you learn from those mistakes, if you learn from each other, and you stick to it, you will get better at it, and you will learn. And you know what? And if it's one person, two people, you're gonna change some lives. You're gonna make a difference, and that's how we're gonna get better, dude. And you know what? A lot of people are scared of that because our community, we're continuing to grow as a minority, but we're gonna be we could be the majority one day. When it comes to being Latinos, right, and Hispanics, and we have to learn and teach each other. Don't hold it to ourselves.
Yeah.
And even then. I do fall in that trap, I'm not going to lie. When someone's going to start, I'm like, oh, dude, if they're successful, Like if I teach them something and they just blow up, I'll be like, dude, this sucks. I'm so jealous. I hate that. I hate them. But I'm like, why? Why am I doing that? Yeah. Be happy for them. Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's gonna pay it forward, right? Something's gonna happen. But we gotta get away from that, man. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that, man. And you know, just to be clarified, can you tell us again, what is your goal in this podcast? So folks that are listening to PVA right now, to this podcast, what are they gonna get from your podcast? What's your you know, your niche, or what are they going to get from listening to you guys?
Yeah, so I'm not going to lie, we do kind of have a broad niche when it comes to our podcast. So, but El Cafecito podcast was founded on one idea, which is to highlight things in the Hispanic and Latinx community that are important to us. So we talk about relationships. We talk about, like during the election, I constantly talked about how important it is to vote for our community, you know, how being together strengthens us and creates this dynamic where we can advocate for more things. And so we do that, you know, we don't really talk politics, but more about community-based solutions.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to say.
I love that.
And then, you know, we talk about sports, we talk about movies. And like I said, it's really broad, but we put our own little sazon on it, you know, like our first, because all of our friends are first generation Mexican Americans or immigrants. And so we talk about how it was in Mexico, what, you know, how our families react to it. And a lot of people can relate to that. The fact that, you know, your mom was cleaning at 5 a.m. on un sábado, and you're like, what the heck's going on, man? And so stuff like that. And we just have fun with it. You know, we try not to get super deep, but, you know, some topics do require that. But like I said, if you're looking for a podcast where you can get the point of view of first generation Mexican Americans or immigrants, then, you know, come check us out. Like I said, we talk about all sorts of stuff, mostly about Phoenix stuff, like our favorite restaurants, things to do. Lately, we have been interviewing several people. For example, we had Lucas Assis, which he is a tequila and mezcal just connoisseur, like an amazing guy. So if you guys want to look him up, Lucas Assis, and he was an amazing guy. We have Tony Valdovinos, like he's a community activist here in Phoenix, and so different ranges and different, you know, sort of people that we have on the podcast, and we appreciate all of them for coming in and telling a story, just like how you're having me here. You know, I hope, you know, what we're doing inspires other people to do it, but that's what we want to do with our podcast ultimately, bring in people, tell their stories, tell our stories, and hopefully you are entertained by it. And so that's why we continue to do it.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Well, thanks again for sharing that. Again, if you are looking for a podcast, you know, that covers that spectrum and you can relate and you know, want to be inspired, dude, check them out. 100%. Big fan of theirs. And Coronel is a big fan. I mean, that guy's...
Yeah, I forgot about him. He was the first 2-time guest on that.
Was he?
So shout out,
dude, and you already impressed him that first 2 times. That's awesome. There you go, man. There it is.
Appreciate it.
All right, let's just transition to our next topic. You know, we get a lot of haters saying that, hey, your podcast is all about Chiva hermanos, Chiva hermana. I'm like, no, we invite folks. We then ask them, hey, what's your Liga MX team?
Yeah.
And it just happens to be that they're Chiva fans. It's not like I go out there and go, hey, give me the list of all the Chiva fans in the world, and I'm gonna only invite them. It just happens to happen.
It happens.
So yeah, exactly. It's not like I'm being biased here, right? I mean, you know, I am biased, but not purposely, right? Unconsciously. Let me go to Don Ramon. Hey, you did mention that, you know what, you're all in. You love soccer. You know, you had that transition from the Mexico to U.S. and all that. But you're all in soccer. What's your Liga MX team?
You guys are going to hate me because I'm an America fan through and through.
Okay, back.
No, man. My entire family goes for Chivas. Me and my aunt are the only ones that go for America. So every time there's a Clásico, there's like a fight, you know?
So you're basically like we call here the black sheep of the family, but I guess it would be more like the black goat of the family.
There you go. No, it's crazy because I get the same things. Like, well, Chivas is a Mexican-only team, and you gotta cheer for them. They're our team. And I'm like, no, I like Cuauhtémoc Blanco. It's my team from now on.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what was the factor? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cuauhtémoc Blanco. There you go.
About that. Is that the reason why you like America, or tell us about how you became an America fan?
Yeah, no, honestly, it's just because of him. So, and I think maybe that's something different with my generation, where we're not really like, this is my team. It's like, I really like this player, so I'm gonna go for that. And so, but, you know, since he moved on, you know, whatever, like, I was crying. This was like in 2007. It was an America versus Pachuca final, and he scored that last-minute free kick. And that was his last game ever with America, you know, until a few years later. And I was crying because I knew he was going to go to the MLS, and I was like, you can't leave. And with him, man, it started at the '98 World Cup. That's where, you know, like Guatemala and all that stuff. And so I must have been like 5 or 6 years old at that time, but I remember it. And so it's something that always stuck with me. And so when El Matador played for America as well, that's when I really supported the team. And Ochoa, all these guys that came after. And so that's my team, man. Like, I love it. And my goal in life is to go to El Azteca and then watch him. I saw them here actually a few years ago in Phoenix with America playing Manchester United. I was there at that game. So it was really fun to see both of my teams there. And I think America won, so it worked out.
That's cool that both of your teams actually played each other. That must have been one of those like surreal things where you're like, man, this is
like decisions. Like,
okay, here we go. We're gonna be like the red carpet. We're gonna be like the red carpet. What were you wearing?
America jersey, man. I more new fans though, but it was awesome.
So that's cool, man. That's cool. Again, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna hate on you. Again, you know, I started really following La Selección Mexicana when I was, you know, 94. That World Cup was my iconic kind of like, okay, this is my team. Like, I'm gonna follow Mexico because I told you before, I grew up playing other sports. So it wasn't until that 94 World Cup in the U.S. that I decided, dude, this is an awesome team. You know, again, everybody probably has that, like, you know, if I were to see this player, I would literally, like, I would freak out. I would fangirl out. And for me, it's, you know, it's Jorge Campos, right? Like, if I were to see him and talk to him and spend time with them and maybe even have a drink with, I don't know if he drinks any, I don't even know. Maybe wear sandals. Maybe go sandal shopping. I would freak out, dude. I would be like, dude, this is not real. Pinch me, dude. Like, that's my boy, you know. And he's not a Chiva. He's a, you know, he's a Puma.
Puma.
But you know, Cuauhtemoc was another player, dude. I liked him. I loved him. And then was later on where I became a Chiva fan, where, you know, again, it didn't really sway me, right? What swayed me is the fact that, you know, it was all Mexican teams, the players, like you said, there was that one player, and of course Chicharito was a big factor, but before then, it was, you know, Osvaldo Sanchez, and it was just a bunch of players that I just connected with. But to your point, you know, again, it started somewhere. There's an origin story. And yeah, we're hating right now. Me and Gaby are like, dude, I don't know why we're talking about this, but we have respect. We all have an origin story of why we follow a team.
No, here's the thing I really like about Cuauhtemoc, and I try to like show videos to my girlfriend of like why he's so like charismatic and enigmatic figure, you know, because we have good players. We have a Raúl Jiménez right now, right? Great player, great person. But is he a Cuauhtemoc Blanco? I don't think so, because he doesn't have that picardía. Like, when he's playing, you know this guy, whatever he does with the ball is great. And then whenever you get him mad or whenever he starts fooling around, that's the side that I love, you know, because that's the Mexican side that, like, you know, tiene, you know, ganas. I was going to say another word, but.
Say it.
Tiene huevos.
Huevos, yes.
And I don't see that in La Selección now. And I don't want to dive too deep into it, but I don't see that guy just, you know what, this is my time. We're good. We're going to do this. Calm down. And if they mess with us, we're going to mess with them. And so that's what I loved about it. He would throw elbows. He can fight. Like, you know, all these guys trying to get in his head. And
yeah, he was fearless. Yes.
Yeah. And that's what I loved about him. You know, I remember that goal celebration he had against, what's his name? His name is blanking right now. Ricardo something. I don't know. The coach from the 2006 World Cup.
I don't know.
But anyway,
what was the celebration? Is it the iconic that, or which one was it?
No, when he peed.
No, it's the one where he laid right next to him. He's just looking at him.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's what I love, man. That's what like soccer's about, and being Mexican. It's like you know, get it back, you know. And so there were some issues between both of them, and so when he scored, he went and laid down in front of him, and then he couldn't believe it. He was just like, well, I can't believe it. And so that's what I mean. That's what I love about him. You know, I love the goals and the tricks and the passes and all this stuff, but there's nobody like him right now. And so that's what I miss about La Selección too, where you know this guy's going to give it his all. Se va a matar por la camiseta. And I don't see it in La Selección, and it saddens me, but I hope one day there's someone like that again. So we'll see.
that is a great transition to the next topic, which because we just had the elimination matches, the first round, right? We had Mexico coming across, winning pretty much undefeated, even though there was a tie at the end, leader of the group. But to what you're saying, I've been echoing the same thing, but I've been comparing. Cuauhtemoc is another great example, so yes. But the other example I've been giving is that we don't have a Rafa Marquez in this team right now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that player that is telling people like, let's go, like, dude, put it all ball, everything, put it all lay it out in the field, dude. This is like bleed it, win it, and this is why the U.S. has won the last few tournaments, because we're missing that killer instinct. We don't have that, and when I see that Mexico just lets this team, it doesn't matter what team it is, and we always play down to the competition. We let them hang around. And before you know it, they punch us in the face, right? And no other team does it more than the U.S. If you let the U.S. stick around, and it's been proven over the years that they always find a way to come back and win, and they did that this year, and it sucked. But and once we have that person, I have a feeling that player's in there. They just need, like you said, be like a Cuauhtemoc or Rafa Marquez to finally let those huevos drop a little bit and be like, F this. Because they're all young. They're all like squeaky voice right now. They're like, hey guys, this is fun. I'm here. They're finally like, you know what, chinga su madre. I'm going to step up and say, you guys need to step up, dude. We're not going to lose to the U.S. We're not going to let Panama, tie us and score on us first. This is not who we are. That is what's going to take us to the next stop. So my question is, who do you think that player is going to be? Because it has to happen in order for us. Who do you think that player is going to be?
So I'll make the comment first that there's a lot of leaders in La Selección. So there's different types of leadership. There's more quiet and reserved, lead by example, more they don't split on the maybe locker room kind of leadership. I was having a watch party with Cafecito Oyama and a Super Mojado from El Trio Online, and he mentioned
Shout out to Super.
Yep. And Cafecito was mentioning that he right now is Guardado and Memo Ochoa. Those are the two leaders right now in the Selección. But I told him, who I really like, that whenever there's a fight, he's the first one there? Edson Alvarez. He's the first one. Like when I think they played against the U.S. a few years ago, and the Matt Miazga or whatever, he did like a little thing to Lainez.
For Lainez,
First one that was there, El Machín. And he was like, we're right here. There you go. And that's what I love. The guy that's always there first, the guy that's always killing himself, the guy that's always going to stick his neck out for his teammates. And that's the only one out of this new generation that I'm seeing like, this is the guy. I don't see that in Cesar Montes. I don't see that in Johan Vasquez, Alexis Vega, Antuna. I don't see that in anybody, but I do see it with Edson Alvarez. And so I love him. And I mean, I don't want to, toot my own horn, pero es americanista, no? But different there. But that's what I mean. I love the guy, and he came from the bottom. He used to take the taxi to go to practice because he couldn't afford to, his parents couldn't take him. And that's what I mean. Like, this is the guy that has that hunger, and I think that's missing in a lot of the players.
Yeah, you had me until americanista. But yes, I would say yes. Edson Alvarez is one that I've been thinking about because I've seen that as well. Now, he's got to find that balance. I get it. He just, he had 2 yellows. He didn't play in the last game because of that. But I'm starting to see that from him. I mean, first of all, his nickname, freaking El Machín. I mean, come on, dude. That's a freaking badass name, El Machín. But I see that from him. I see Chucky too. Chucky is getting a little heated, dude. He gets like he's done getting freaking tripped, punched, kicked. That guy gets abused, and he's finally like, I've had it, dude. And I think the Italian league has been good for him because, dude, that Italian league is beating him up, but he is gonna get better for it. So I see that combination of both those two, and then hopefully, some of these younger players, are going to start feeding off of that. But I agree with you. El Machín is definitely one I see that has that potential. He's starting to show signs. He just needs to find that balance. But I can see him being the next, we call the U.S. killer because that was Rafa Marquez. Like, the U.S. hated Rafa Marquez. That was like the villain of the U.S. Yeah. And Machín, dude, I see you being, dude, Machín. Of course he listens to this podcast. Yes, Machín. Thank you for joining us again.
Hi.
Hi, Machín. Big fan.
It's a little later because
you're next in line, my friend.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Gaby, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, the older generations, like what you were saying, like Guardado, Ochoa, Miguel Herrera, like they're on their way out, like to be completely realistic. So we have to find the younger players, see what's the little leadership mentality that we need right now. I can see Chucky, of course. I can see him. I'm hoping I can see Alexis Vega. I mean, on the field, he's a beast, but maybe he needs like that mentality to bring to the other teammates. So that's my hope for him. But yeah, of course, I think there are leaders. We just have to step it up. We have to step the game up. We need to, like, immediately.
And that's one that I thought had it, but I don't know. He hasn't stepped to that plate. Was Tecatito, right? Tecatito has this arrogance to him, like he can he can just maneuver and just trick and really make people look stupid in the defense. But he never goes for the goal. I feel like he always goes for the assist or goes for that. But he just needs, and he even said it, I think in his last interview, he said, I need to score more goals. Like, I need to go. And he finally did. And I think Gaby, I remember Gaby's post, like, about time.
About time, Tecatito. Yeah. He had like 3 before that goal. Yeah, exactly.
And I keep going. And I think that's where Vega has. Vega also has that killer instinct where he's just like, I'm going to go. Of course, unfortunately, he got injured. And I think he's recovering pretty soon.
Yes.
But, get the best of the best. But definitely, El Machín.
But yeah, of course. Yeah, I do think it's also a mentality thing that they have to get on. Like, we have to win. Like you said, we have to get it going. We have to good things the right way. We have to get into that groove. I don't know how to say that. Like, we have to win. Like, we cannot be that passive anymore. Like, we have to make it done. Yeah. One way or another. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super passive though, man. These games are starting to get to a point where, like, okay,
yes.
So are you? Great example, El Panama game last
with
one.
Panama
Panama went in there and said, "Hey, we're gonna punch you in the face." And I'm like, that's all, dude. Panama, you're showing freaking signs of life, but where's Mexico?
Yes.
Ramon, what did you think about that last game? Because we won the first 2, we're feeling good, and then Panama comes and goes, bam, right in your face.
Exactly, like reality.
Yeah, no, I'll make it clear. I'm disappointed in La Selección. They didn't show anything this summer. They weren't able to win anything. The qualifiers haven't really improved my view of them. I don't know why we don't have a closer look at Tata. Not that I want him fired, but I think there should be more push for him to be better, because we've already given him like year and a half and no salen resultados. And me seeing these qualifiers just kind of disappoints me. It's like, when is Mexico just gonna say, "Hey, we're the best. We got 100 million people in this country. We can't find 23 good guys to like go and batir la calificatoria and just go to the World Cup." Like when we, like how you're saying, Z, we play to the level of their competition. We shouldn't be doing that, because at the end of the day, our goal is not to qualify into the World Cup. The goal is to win the World Cup. So if we're struggling to get there in the first place,
yes,
it makes me think that they're going to be good and like against Argentina, Brazil, Italia, Spain, Holland, England, all these teams that are on the rise. England has, if Jordan Sancho can't go, he has Rashford to go take his place. We don't have that luxury. So we should be striving to better, and so
I love that.
Panama, that, made the World Cup last time, but are just on the way down. If we're struggling with Jamaica and El Azteca, it's just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
We should be better. We should expect more from La Selección. We shouldn't be happy with the 1-1 tie, and that's what makes me a little bit preocupado for what the US is doing,
Yeah.
Watching the U.S. game, and Z, like you were saying, they have that killer instinct. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know if it's the coach. I don't know if it's the academies or the European play. Pero I saw Ricardo Pepi, the guy that just, said no to the Selección. Killer guy, man. And we lost out on him. And so that's what I mean. Like, where is our guy like that? Where's the new young stud that, as soon as he touches on the field, give him one touch and he's there. And I said it in the beginning. If you look at the El Trio Online podcast, I said the U.S. is going to qualify first, Mexico second. And that to me, that's it. We don't really need to worry about anybody else. But Mexico shouldn't be struggling with those selecciones, because to me, it just doesn't make sense. We have the resources, we have the players. What's going on? Why does this happen every 4 years where we're like, oh man, are we gonna make it?
Well, I love that.
Yeah.
I love what you said. Like, we shouldn't be struggling to qualify at all. Like, we should be worried right now to make it to the fourth game, fifth game, or whatever. Like, we should be worrying about winning the freaking World Cup, not worrying about qualifying. Yeah, I agree completely.
It's the same novela all the time, right? We're constantly going through the cycle. And
it's the same drama.
Yeah, and I brought this up. I was like, you know what? I've said this before, but of course it's not going to happen, wishful thinking. But I'm like, dude, Mexico should be in the Como Bowl, go up against Brazil, Argentina, all these teams, and be at their level. But they're like, but where we're like, why should you be worried about that? Mexico they're gonna elevate their game and go after these teams. And you think about it, we give Brazil and Argentina trouble when we really play our game.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that we're, you know, in the CONCACAF, we're the top one or two, you know, depending on the season, that these teams elevate wanting to go after us. So you know what? We need to be on the other side and be like, hey, we need to go after the Argentina and the Brazils. And play that constant killer instinct game.
No, yeah, Mexico should be back in the Copa America, or if anything, do the whole intercontinental Copa America where the U.S. and, you know, Mexico is playing against these other teams. And I don't know, man. Like, it makes me worried, you know, because like I said, I'm 28. Every single World Cup has been, you know, has been disappointed basically since I grew up. And so it's just like, when is it going to happen? You know, there was the. You good? Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
No, there was this commercial for the 2018 World Cup where you see the kid as like a 10-year-old and he's cheering, and then the 16-year-old and then he's cheering, and then he's like 28 and he's cheering. And it's like, man, that's kind of sad because none of those World Cups we did anything. We didn't win. So I was just like kind of getting a little worried. I was just like, is this ever going to happen? So anyway, La Selección, we just got to be better. That's bottom line. It doesn't matter.
You have to be.
You got to win. That's it.
We get to a point. I know that people say like, hey, we're always going to cheer for La Selección. We're always going to, but you know what? There gets a time. There gets a limit where we just say enough. Like, you need to start changing things up. Gaby, I want to put this on you. Wasn't there like recent news about La Porra de las Chivas kind of saying we're not going to travel?
Yes. Well, so due to very poor performance on Chivas, una de las porras, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this in Spanish. Una de las porras decided to take back the support because there is a huge group in Mexico City, and if you've heard, they call it La Capital Rojiblanca, because everywhere Chivas goes, or well, almost everywhere Chivas goes, they're local, like most of the time. And Mexico City is no exception. And there's this huge group of people and supporters that go to the airport, follow them to their hotel and back to the stadium or whatever. And this time they decided like, hey, we're so fed up. We're done right now, and we're not welcoming the team to the city. And yeah, we're done at the moment because of poor results, because they don't want Vucetich there anymore, or whatever. So that is like, in my opinion, like that's very bad. That's huge because they're not getting the support of this huge group. I don't know if they're going to the stadium, maybe not. So that's going to be like huge news. So, yeah, and a great impact maybe to the fan base in Mexico City for Chivas.
So that's again, right, when it gets to a point where, hey, where do we as fans find?
But that's never happened before. I mean, Chivas has had like a fair share of failed tournaments over years since the last championship. And I mean, we are like always there no matter what, in a way, like supporting and behind the team. And it's okay, it's bad and I'm angry or whatever, but I'm a Chiva, blah, blah, blah. But this time I don't remember like in recent years or times where these huge groups are like, we're done. Yeah. And that's huge.
And that's why I brought it up, because I'm like, hey, you know what? I mean, it's one of those moments, and I think we could tie it back to La Selección. You know, are we ever going to get to that point where we're just like, dude, this is the same novela, right?
I think if we don't qualify, I mean, God forbid, if Mexico doesn't qualify, that's going to be like a huge turning point for the fan base. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make this point because we're talking about Chivas and La Selección. They go hand in hand, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Chivas plays with only Mexicanos, obviously La Selección as well. So when you have to rely on only Mexicans, you need to have a steady stream of talent. But in my opinion, based on what I've seen, it's so hard for Mexican teams to let go of their stars. For example, we see Sebastián Córdoba in America. He's not young anymore. He's 24. All right. So in terms of soccer terms, right?
I was like,
but he should have been gone 3 or 4 years ago to Europa. He should have been gone. But a lot of what these teams try to do is put a high price tag on these guys where they're not able, the clubs in Europe are like, we're not going to pay for that. They're going to pay that for a Brazilian or an Argentinian, but not for a Mexican because the proven track record isn't there. So why am I going to spend $10 million on Sebastián Córdoba when I can go get 3 or 4 Ecuadorians or whatever, Brasileños, who might be the next star? So that's what I mean. Like, Mexican teams have to be more willing to give up for them to grow. But it's an investment where you're not going to make your money right now. You're going to make your money later. But the thing that affects the Mexican league, too, is that no hay dinero. You see Pumas, they're not able to purchase players because they don't have money. Chivas is always struggling because they have to buy Mexican players. They bought Oribe Peralta, who can't kick a soccer ball anymore for some reason.
And he's the highest paid player, and he doesn't play.
That's the only option they had,
Of course. And what happened when Orbelin left, and now they want him back? Like, yeah, right. And Cruz Azul is like asking for like triple the price. Yeah, exactly. Because you have to do that. You have to rely on only Mexican players, and all the Mexican players available are like super expensive right now. So how can you build that up?
So the solution in my point of view, right? Because I'm an expert. I'm just kidding. But
right.
You need to invest in the youth system. The more money you put in the youth system, the more canteranos van a pasar, not only from Chivas, but La Selección as well. The only way we can find out what Mexico has is by giving everyone a chance. We saw that with what's his name, Bielsa, who he was the scout for Atlas, and he found Osvaldo Sanchez, Pavel Pardo, all these guys that eventually went on to transition to La Selección, but they were part of the youth system of Atlas. So imagine if every single team in Mexico, La Federación, said, you know what, let's pour more money into this. Let's go into Los Pueblitos and let's find these kids. Let's bring them up and then eventually ship them out. And now we have 40, 50. We're not doing, I know, Z, you're doing Mextranjeros, Imagine if we have 50 to track, that'd be great. It's a lot of work, but it'd be great, right? And so that's what I mean. That's the solution for Chivas. To La Canterano, invest the money, find those kids, bring them here, have them go to the youth system, because then you're never going to run out of stars. Se va Antuna, cool, we got this new kid. Se va Alexis Vega, cool, we got this other new kid.
Yeah.
La Selección igual. If you got 50 guys in Europe, you don't have to worry about, let's get a, Chapito. Let's beg Carlos Vela to come play. No, we got way too more. And that's, in my opinion, that's the solution. Invest in the youth system, bring him up. We're not going to see this in this World Cup. We're not going to see it in the 2026 World Cup. But from that, we're going to be seeing the results. And plus, we have the Mexican-American kids in the U.S. Ricardo Pepi we lost. Julio Araujo from LA Galaxy might be switching. Efrain Alvarez. So that's what I mean. There's a lot of players growing up in the American youth system as well that the Federación has. That's like 150 million people that we can look into for talent, and I think we can get it. We just have to invest the time and the money. Yeah. So hopefully, let's send this to the La Federación, and they can put me, Z, and Gaby on it, and we'll make it happen. So.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm down. I'm down.
I mean, we have the solution. We are the experts. Like, reach out to us.
Yeah.
Okay, so. That's a great way to close up this podcast, man. We went from again, going from what unites us, how do we end up where we're at, here in the U.S. We were born in Mexico, came to the U.S., but we have that same united passion. But to the point is, hey, we care so much about this team that we want them to do better, and we know they could do better. We just have to have people to also see it and have that same passion. And we have to find not only one player, man. Honestly, dude, if we always focus on that one player, but we need to have a whole team with that mentality, dude. We're unstoppable. You know, like if we can have that team looking at it going, this is like, we can't. Like we have to, like, you know, when it comes to these teams, we have to outscore. We have to dominate. We have to come in. We have to, you know, punch them in the face and say, hey, we are the kings of this area, and we deserve better. You know, let's go play against the other team.
We have to claim that spot again. We have to.
Yeah, and we have to let people know, like, dude, we're about to play Mexico. Dude, that's scary. Like, I don't want to play with them. You know?
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. So this is a good conversation, man. So time flies. Time always goes. We can only spend out. But, you know, again, you did mention El3 Online. Shout out to El3 Online. Shout out to El Super Mojado, who just became a U.S. citizen. I reached out to him and said, hey, we want you on to talk about that because, you know, dude, marketing. He can't be called that anymore. He's a U.S. citizen.
Switching to Capitan America. So.
Yeah. He's like, Super Mojado. I'm like, no, you have papers now, so you can't be called that. You're a citizen now. So we gotta figure out his branding, man. I love the guy. He's very opinionated. He's very passionate about his team and about la Seleccion. Shout out to him. We're gonna definitely get him on. And Gaby can, you know, geek out another Chiva hermano. But it was nice having a rival of America and hearing your origin story.
Finally. And see, we can get along. This is so good.
We can get along as long as we're not wearing the jerseys. And then once we wear the jerseys, we're like, oh.
That would have been hilarious.
I thought about it too, but no, I wouldn't.
Next time, because 100%. I think we have so much to talk about. Like, we have like we can talk again after the qualifiers.
100%.
I don't know.
100%. Yeah. I mean, Gaby's already putting it on the calendar.
I'm sorry.
We'll reach out to Don Ramon's assistant and his executive and find out.
Before you cut it, just shout out to all the L3 Online crew, man. They do so much work, and I don't really tell them that I appreciate them. And shout out to Joe, who gave me the opportunity to be part of the L3 Online family. And so nothing but good things are coming to L3 Online. So if you guys haven't heard of them, we cover all the Mexican national teams and players, as well as the clubs in English mostly. So if you're looking for English language content about your favorite Liga MX teams, La Selección, head to El3 Online, and you guys can find it there. So I appreciate it. Joe, Super Mojado, Leo, all those guys doing an amazing job.
Awesome, man. I was about to go into like any final shout out. So thank you for sharing that and giving them props. Because again, you know, I've done stuff with them as well. He's just a great person to reach out to and get people involved, giving them that opportunity to be able to highlight and gain skills. Any other shout outs there, Ramon, regarding maybe your Cafecito or any final statements before you go into Gaby?
Yeah, no, listen, El Cafecito, we have a brand new video on YouTube. So if you search El Cafecito podcast, you can check it there. And I just want to shout out my soccer team, Deportivo del Valle. We start our season in a couple of weeks, so hopefully we can win some games. I hurt my knee, so I'm gonna miss the next few games, but I'll be there cheering. So shout out to Deportivo, and hope you do great this season.
All right, cool, man. Gaby, any final shout outs, anything to close out with?
No, thank you so much for having me again. That was so much fun. I love this conversation. It was like so fun, so good. Even though you are an America fan, but we had a great time. I'm really happy, and thank you for having me again. And shout out to Stash and Lash. Go follow Stash and Lash, please.
It's all about it. Yep, definitely. Keep us in the loop. Again, Ramon, thank you for taking the time, for being able to accept our invitation. Tell us your story. Again, this is what PVA is all about. Hear your story. Don't forget to follow us on all of our platforms. Definitely on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel if you want consistent news stories of members across the soccer community that have a connection for La Selección, for Pancho Villa's Army, for your Liga MX team, even MLS team. Like, we're all about soccer here in the U.S. with the origins of La Selección. This is who we are. If you want to be a guest, if you have an interesting story, or if you know somebody who has an interesting story, DM me, send me a message, let me know. This is how we get these amazing folks that we know. I'm like, dude, that would be great to have them on. Please feel free to share. But with that, El Coronel is missed. Hopefully we'll get him back soon. He's such a popular guy. I feel like he just passed. Oh, we missed El Coronel. God bless him. He's still alive. He's still alive. We just miss him. He's busy. Yeah. But with that, here from Phoenix, Arizona to La Ciudad de Mexico, El Sargento, Gaby, and Ramon signing off. Hasta luego.
Don Vicente, un chingón para cantar. Jimmy humilde, que historia para contar. Y hay un chingo de estrellas difícil para terminar. Y la banda norteño, nos enfiestamos. Son las 3 de la mañana y no paramos. La cerveza en la hielera las enfriamos. Y aunque lleguen los azules, nosotros no nos calmamos.
Start drinking a lot and going out in public and find sponsors, please, Gaby.
Mande?
I said start drinking a lot and go out and find sponsors for us.
I'm going to have a reputation. I don't know if I like that.
You can only do it one